Hey guys, how you doing? It's me, Alan here. I'm at LC Red Chat. Make sure you follow me at LC Red Chat, and you can subscribe in either up here or down below, depending on what kind of player you're watching me on. So we're going to go over just before this Swansea game. I'm a little bit late, but I'm trying to make this a little bit more of a feature on my videos, or at least on my channel. We're going to go over the press conferences. I'm going to gain access, or I have gained access to videos of the press conferences, so I can now watch them, tell you what's going on in them. Maybe we'll see. I'll look into copyright issues and stuff like that, but maybe we can sit here and you can listen to the full interview. I know online that you can get a lot of snippets and all different kinds of stuff like that. I like to use ynwatv.com. They're very good for their interviews, getting them up real fast and making sure they condense it into something that you want to watch over 3 minutes or so. But if you are wanting to, like I said, we can check into copyright issues and stuff like that, but maybe we can sit here and we can discuss it as it's going on, as I play the audio for you, and maybe that's something that interests you. But right now, so I don't break any copyright laws or anything like that, I took a couple of notes, journalist style, because that's pretty much the end game for me over here in the States. I want to be a sports journalist of some kind, be it Premier League, MLS over here, NFL, NLB, NBA, whatever it is pretty much the end game for me, for what I want to do and why I do this channel, and also because I love Liverpool as well, and I love doing these sort of videos because it's really got me closer and a lot more knowledgeable about the club than I was before. But let's go into it. Let's see what he had to say. So what I just saw there, he gets asked, first question he gets asked, he's talking about a little bit about Burnley. He said they didn't play too well. Wasn't surprising. Everybody saw that they didn't play too well, so there wasn't any bullshitting or anything, beating around the bush there. Just, it was poor. He said they weren't stringing passes together and they needed to do that a little bit better. He went on to talk about the goalies. He was asked about the goalie situation and confirmed that Brad Jones will be out of the game against Swansea, that Mignolet has worked hard and hopefully his time out, his rest has let him to reflect back on how he was playing, and hopefully he's going to pick up his boots a little bit. He was asked about the confidence of him and kind of dodged that question a little bit. He went on to talk about how it's very hard, how everybody's confidence at a top level like this gets knocked from time to time. Kind of missed the question really, and made it more about the whole team than just the player, which he tends to do. Challenging for the top four. He was also talked about challenging for the top four, about this run that everybody and their dog, people like myself, have been talking about. He's saying that the performance level has been better over the last couple of games, and he's hoping that we can challenge for that top four. He was then asked about Sterling and how he's playing, and he went on to say stuff like that. He's a natural born goal scorer. He's developing with confidence. You'll see his numbers improve over time. He'll take the opportunities better. He's got a greater maturity than what he had when he first came here. I always remember about that. If you ever watched the Being Liverpool, I think it was called. If you ever watched that, when they are out, they are actually in Harvard Yard up in Boston, pre-season, they're training. And it's his first season, Brendan's first season. He said something to Raheem, and Raheem's fucking said something back to him, and he said, "Hey, if you ever talk back to me again, I'll get you back in that first flight home, and you'll be done." So he talks about that, how he's a lot more mature now than he was back then when he first came to the club. And also it's hard to hide his talent. He talks about Sterling handling criticism. And also probably alluding to a couple other clubs sniffing around him at the moment. So he talked about that. He also talked about Lallana developing and getting into the team and being with the system that we're in, suiting Lallana a little bit better, because he can pick out balls to here, there and everywhere up front with Sterling running onto them, compared to what they have been doing. He started to talk about Swansea. He was asked about Swansea and Gary Monk, and of course because he was the manager before. He had a lot to say about him. Said he was in a lot of contact with Gary over their time together as managers. They stay in contact, and he started to talk about how Swansea is going to be a real threat. On Monday, talked about Sigurdsson, he talked about Boney. He went on to go on and talk about Sigurdsson a little bit more, how he brought him in at Reading when he was younger, then brought him from Reading across to Swansea on loan initially, and he's been there ever since. He talked about how well he plays, and he also talked about Boney scoring goals and stuff like that, so he did that. He was asked about Emre Can, so any Emre Can fans out there want to hear a little bit about this. He was asked about Emre coming in for Colo Touré against Burnley. So he had this to say, that he's a player that is very versatile and can play throughout the middle of the pitch. So he can play as a centre half in the defensive midfield role where he feels is his favourite. That's Emre Can. If you were to ask Emre Can, where would you like to play, he would say centre defensive midfielder, basically. Or he can also be pushed up like he did against Chelsea. Brendan thinks he can be very versatile and move up and through that from back to front sort of part. So he's talking about how Emery is going to be a lot more involved. He's developing. He missed a lot of training through injuries and stuff like that, so maybe he feels he hasn't picked up enough. But everybody's calling out for him. Everybody's wanting to see a little bit more of Emery, wanting to see him play. So yeah, he's definitely on his radar from what I picked up on that. He spoke very highly of him, really. Call him versatile, like I said, someone that's going to develop and be... basically wanted to say he's going to have a big part to play in the run into the season. Essentially, is how I picked him up. That Emery will be one to look out for in the future of this season. So, a lot of good stuff coming out of him. He seemed happy to answer the questions. It wasn't like the last one where he seemed a little bit pissed off beforehand. So, a good 10 minutes worth of questions that he went through, and it was good to watch. It was really nice to watch. And yeah, Gary Monk, I saw a little bit of Gary Monk. Swansea aren't too impressed that they lost out in that cup game when Balotelli and Lovren scored late. They thought a couple of things didn't go their way. I don't know, Lovren goal maybe. So they'll be looking for revenge. But like I said in the preview video, they're going to be a rotated squad. He also talked about that, getting a couple of other players in. Brendan picked out Rutledge as a key guy for their team. John Joe Shelby. I still don't see what people see in John Joe Shelby. I had my Man United, I guess, cousins-in-law over here stateside tell me years ago, John Joe Shelby was going to be the next big thing. John Joe Shelby. For me, he just doesn't have it between the ears, if you know what I mean. He has an abundance of talent. Maybe that's debatable, but he just gives away stupid fouls. And Gary Monk actually spoke about it before this game, so they don't know if he's going to play or not, because they're talking about him giving away lazy yellow cards, just pulling people back, cynical fouls, getting his feet too slow, moving about with other players going by him. So they want him to sharpen up. So Gary Monk's been talking about that. So I don't really rate John Joe, but Brendan was talking about Key, other players like Key, Sigurdsson, Boney, Gomez should play as well. So expect a really good game. I hope it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun to watch tomorrow. So have a good one, guys. A little bit later, so you get to enjoy your tea before it if you're over there UK side. If you're back here stateside, we will enjoy it around about 3 o'clock. Nice. Nice Monday 3 o'clock kickoff. So I'll sign off. Have a good one, guys. Hope you watch the videos. Comments down below so you can be added in comments. Episode number 5 will be coming up on Wednesday. And this is going to become more of a feature, so I can get my note-taking skills done and then regurgitate it back to you and see how we go. So have a good one, guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.